What happens when you give a protagonist god-tier powers and surround him with a harem in the darkest settings imaginable? You get absolute chaos, and today we're counting down the top 10 dark harem anime with ridiculously overpowered main characters. Kicking off with number 10, High School DxD. Issei Hyodo gets murdered on his first date. Talk about bad luck. Only to be resurrected as a devil by the smoking hot Ria's Gremory. Now here's where it gets wild. This pervert's power literally scales with how horny he is. I'm not joking. His sacred gear, the boosted gear, turns him into a legitimate powerhouse who can challenge gods, and his motivation is just opie. But honestly, the show knows exactly what it is. Sure, it throws in battles between devils, fallen angels, and gods, but it never forgets its roots. Issei goes from zero to Dragon Emperor, collecting beautiful girls like Pokemon cards along the way. The fights are surprisingly hype, though, especially when he activates his balance breaker forms. Sliding to number 9, Hybrid Ed's Heart Mugia's Academy Ataraxia. Kizuna Hida gets summoned to a floating battleship school where humanity's last defense against interdimensional invaders are girls piloting battlesuits. The catch? Their power levels recharge through, let's call it, intimate interaction with our boy Kizuna. Yeah, it's that kind of show. But beneath all the absurdity, there's legitimate darkness here. Humanity is on the brink of extinction. Cities are destroyed, and the battles against the otherworldly enemies are genuinely brutal. Kizuna isn't physically overpowered at first, but his hybrid heart gear makes him essential to keeping everyone alive and combat ready. The desperation is real. These aren't training exercises, they're survival missions where one mistake means death or worse. The show leans heavy into the ecchi territory, but it doesn't shy away from showing the psychological toll of being humanity's final hope. Landing on number 8, Aesthetica of a Rogue Hero. Akatsuki Osawa returns from a fantasy world after defeating the Dark Lord, and instead of coming back alone like a normal hero, he brings the Demon King's daughter disguised as his little sister. My guy is built different, literally. He's so overpowered that Earth's supernatural threats are basically tutorial missions for him. The dude fights like he's still in boss battle mode 24/7, using techniques that make government agencies sweat. What makes this dark is the underlying conspiracy. There's shady organizations experimenting on returnees from other worlds, treating them like lab rats or weapons. Akatsuki doesn't play games with these people. He embarrasses them publicly and violently. His harem forms naturally because, let's be honest, when you're that confident and powerful, people gravitate toward you. But trust me, number 3, it'll mess with your head in the best way possible. Looking at number 7, Masu Gakuen HXH. Kizuna Hida. Wait, different Kizuna. Lives in a world where Earth has been invaded and humanity retreats to floating megastructures. He's equipped with a weak battle gear until he discovers his true ability, recharging female pilots, energy through physical contact, and, well, escalating interactions. The dark reality? Humanity has lost most of Earth. These aren't school games. Every sortie could be their last. The strategic defense battles carry weight because failure means extinction. Kizuna evolves from seemingly useless to strategically crucial, pulling off tactical victories against superior forces. The show doesn't pretend to be high art, but the desperation of humanity's situation creates genuine tension. The girls piloting the battle machines aren't just fighters, they're carrying the weight of survival, dealing with PTSD while being pushed beyond their limits. Moving to number 6, Anti-Magic Academy, the 35th Test Platoon. Takeru Kusanagi leads the Academy's worst team, misfits who can't seem to succeed at anything. Except Takeru has a secret. He's a master swordsman whose true power involves forming a contract with a sentient, sadistic demon sword named Lapis. When he transforms, he becomes an unstoppable killing machine. The darkness here is legit. We're talking witch hunts, human experimentation, morally corrupt institutions, and a world where magic users are persecuted violently. The Inquisition isn't playing around. They execute people brutally. Takeru's harem forms from broken individuals, a gun-obsessed girl with a tragic past, a witch facing execution, an alchemist burdened by guilt. These aren't light backstories. There's abuse, trauma, and survival guilt everywhere. The show explores what happens when good people work for corrupt systems. Checking out number 5, Strike the Blood. Koju Akatsuki is the fourth primogenitor, basically a vampire god-tier entity who didn't ask for this life. He's supposed to be monitored by sword shamans, but instead accumulates a harem of powerful girls while accidentally collecting familiars, literal beast vassals of catastrophic power. Every arc introduces supernatural threats to Itogami Island, and Kojo handles them by summoning kaiju-sized magical beasts. The dark elements come from the heavy supernatural conspiracy, ancient vampires treating humans like toys, and the constant threat of world-ending calamities. Girls in his harem don't just swoon, they fight alongside him, often getting seriously hurt. The blood-sucking aspect isn't romanticized cuteness, it's portrayed as intimate and necessary for his power. Kojo is overpowered but believably vulnerable to political manipulation and ambushes. Hitting number 4, Seikon no Quasar. Alexander Nikolaevich Hell, Sasha, is a quasar who manipulates iron and needs breast milk to fuel his elemental powers. Yes, really. But under the absurdity lies genuinely dark content. Religious conspiracies, brutal torture scenes, and people using elemental manipulation to commit horrific acts. This isn't your typical high school supernatural show. Characters die gruesomely, villains are legitimately sadistic, and the battles are visceral. Sasha is cold, ruthless, and absurdly powerful when properly charged. He treats most people with disdain, making him an anti-hero more than a traditional protagonist. The quest for the Theotokos of Tsaritsyn involves secret organizations, historical mysteries, and blood. Lots of blood. His harem forms reluctantly, with girls either fascinated by his power or bound to him by circumstance. The show isn't afraid to go dark, really dark, with its violence and themes. Arriving at number 3, Freezing. Kazuya Oe enters West Genetics Academy, where girls called Pandoras fight interdimensional monsters called Nova using stigmata implants. He becomes the limiter to Satellizer Elbridget, the untouchable queen who's traumatized and broken beneath her icy exterior. Here's the thing. This show is brutal. Students die in training. Nova battles are existential nightmares where humanity faces literal extinction. The dark elements aren't subtle. They're sexual trauma, abuse, betrayal, and the horrifying reality that these girls are weapons created through painful experimentation. Kazuya isn't physically overpowered, but his unique freezing ability, nullifying others' powers, makes him strategically crucial. His grandfather was humanity's hero, and that legacy weighs heavy. The harem forms from deeply damaged girls finding solace in someone who sees them as human, not weapons. Almost there with number 2, Campione. Godu Kusanagi accidentally kills a god and becomes a Campione, a god slayer with divine authorities. Now he's one of 7 mortals on Earth who can challenge deities. That's overpowered on a conceptual level. The darkness? Rogue gods treat humanity like ants, capable of destroying civilizations on whims. When deities descend, cities get wrecked and people die as collateral damage. Godu absorbs defeated gods' powers, building an arsenal of abilities that make him progressively unstoppable. His harem consists of powerful magic users, shrine maidens, and knights. Girls who are heavy hitters themselves, but pale compared to god-tier threats. The battles are mythology come to life, fighting Varathragna, dealing with Athena's schemes, confronting Perseus. And finally, number 1, Date Alive. Shido Itsuka has the most unique overpowered ability, sealing spirits' destructive powers by making them fall for him and kissing them. Spirits aren't villains, they're traumatized entities whose mere existence causes spacequakes that kill thousands. The AST hunts them mercilessly, while DM Industries experiments on them. This world is dark. Shido witnesses cities destroyed, people vaporized, and girls who've suffered centuries of loneliness and pain. Each spirit has genuinely tragic backstories involving betrayal, abandonment, and existential suffering. Shido's power evolves as he collects more sealed spirits, eventually gaining access to their abilities, making him ridiculously versatile in combat. The harem here is different. These girls literally couldn't exist safely without him. The darkness deepens with reveals about spirit origins, the true nature of spacequakes, and the sinister forces manipulating everything. Kurumi Tokisaki alone elevates the show's darkness, a spirit who's killed over 10,000 people and manipulates time itself. There you have it, 10 dark harem anime where the protagonists don't just survive, they dominate. From vampire gods to god slayers, these MCs prove that overwhelming power and dangerous romance make an addictive combination. Which anime surprised you most? Drop your favorites in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe for more anime content. Until next time, stay cultured.